I was sitting here talking away and I forgot to go live. Duh. Stupid. So anyways, first of all, I guess I want to apologize for yesterday. It kind of, for those of you that were triggered, it went in a place where I had zero expectations that it was going to go. I was completely going to call out some other behavior. But having said that, I'm glad that it did go where it went, because, hey Remy, because I think it's good for a community to be educated. And I'm going to have someone up on panel today who has a story to tell that happened in her real life. And whatever it is, I didn't do anything within the last 12 hours. No, it's just about. And the live from yesterday is unlisted, but I'm going to put it public after this live. But I just, for those of you that were triggered, and if you're going to be triggered by today's live, I think now would be a time to like bow out, because we're going to be talking about a sensitive subject. And I think people need to hear what happens to victims. And what, how their lives parallel, how excuses are made for them constantly. I mean, I'm trying to say this without stumbling through my words, but we went through a situation with a very dear friend of mine last Friday. And I attempt to live as a survivor, not a victim. Exactly, Angela. And my sister and I were molested as children. And I'm going to tell you, it has far-reaching consequences. Into my 50s, there is many years I couldn't even talk about it. I had it so far buried in my past. And my doctor has told me, my psychiatrist has told me, is that was my way of surviving the ordeal. And with my sister and I, it was a friend of the family. It wasn't a family member. That was a friend of the family. And we weren't believed. And that's even harder. Like when you're not believed, you're made to feel like, hi, Angie, how are you doing? You're made to feel like, a liar, because you're going against somebody that they believe is a good person. The person that molested my daughter, or my sister and me, was never brought to justice. We never got satisfaction of seeing them brought to justice. Now, we were older. We were 12 and 13, but that's still young. I mean, that's still young. But we weren't babies. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't babies. And I know people like to excuse this. Can you guys hear me? I was supposed to have someone up on my panel today, and I just want you to hear her story from start to finish, because it it just shows the consequences and how far reaching it is. Are you guys coming up, Samara? Because it has it 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 is far reaching. And here we go. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
So I wanted to bring you up so that you could tell your story from start to finish. I'm going to mute so you can tell it.
Yeah, first I just want to apologize for losing my stuff yesterday. It's just been, as you just, I just went to his sentencing on Friday, and it's still fresh and raw for me. So
Right.
okay, I'm gonna try. It's a long story, but I'll put it in a nutshell. Bore you guys with the details, but um, bought a home and moved into this community, and it's a law in our state that if someone on the registry, that it has to be disclosed. I did know that there was someone in the community who was on registry. Anyways, the day we moved in there, sorry, my dog is having a fit downstairs. Hold on, let me close this door real quick. Sorry about that. Day we moved in there, I mean, we barely got out of our car. This man's name is Bill, was in our driveway, and literally every hair on my body stood up. Anyways, it was conversating for a little bit, and we went to the house, and my husband's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I go, "There's something wrong with that guy." "Oh, that's so mean. I mean, he seemed nice to me." And I'm like, I'm telling you, up with that guy. Anyways, I was taking care of my granddaughter at the time, and the next weekend, and my granddaughter came over, and Bill delivered a pizza to our house. And I thought that was weird, but anyways, I just take the pizza, he leaves. I look over at my daughter, and she, like, all the color from her face changed. I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "That's the guy that's on the registry." Because she turned knowing that there was someone in our community. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." I knew for sure that was him. And then several months later, um, we were outside, and he told about this, but he totally downplayed it. It was a misunderstanding. He didn't do what he accused of. And I didn't believe him. But anyways, it was a couple years later. He met this woman. She had 3 small kids, 2 girls and a boy. And I just had this that something was going to happen. And my comes from not looking into it further, calling the authorities to see if he was allowed to cohabit with children, which he was not. And we were in the process of moving into this new home, and I was outside of our and his sister, because I hadn't seen him around, and I said to his sister, I go, "Where's Bill? I haven't seen him around." And she goes, "Do you know of his past?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "He did it again." And my heart just sunk. Anyways, we got and so we requested thing from the county, and his charges were, and I don't want to go into detail, but it's horrific what he did to this little girl. She's years old, and sorry. Anyways, we found out that his sentencing last Friday, and we were there, and the mother of his first victim, who was only 3 years old at the time, had some sort of condition where she was nonverbal, was there, and he did those same horrific things to her. And the only reason she found out is because CPS showed up at her because a neighbor had called them because they had suspected that he was doing something to their child. And she was able to admit it. She went to the police station. They said, "You got to get it on tape," which she was able to do. And he was prosecuted and convicted for that. And he did 5 years in prison. So when I hear about this character, Matthew, going away for 6 years for also to be a misunderstanding, I don't believe it. There's no way that the judicial system is going to incarcerate a 12-year-old until he's 18 years old for a misunderstanding. There has to be substantial evidence in order for them to do that. And that's why I was so angry yesterday, is because I'm downplaying it. Anyways, we went to one courtroom where they bring all dates in, and he asked for a sentencing, which was denied, and then would be sentenced in another courtroom. So we went a floor to that courtroom, and it took about 45 minutes for them to get him up there and open up the courtroom. But in that time, I told both mothers, and the stories and the hurt, pain, the guilt. The first mother, this is 24 years later, it's still there. My daughter went through a lot. She out for many, many years. She's finally on track, thank goodness. And that on top of hearing, there were impact statements from both mothers as well as one grandmother. And he never reacted to anything they were saying. As we asked him if he had anything to say, he only thought about himself, and that his transfer to prison be delayed by a couple of months so he would be closer so his mommy could come and see him. And I had the pleasure of watching every bit of his body when he was sentenced to 90 years to life. And the first opportunity he has for parole is in 90 years.
Can you talk about the parallels
Yes.
that you've seen?
Yes. Bill lives with a woman at the time who he called his girlfriend, yeah, who's 15 years his senior. He he sits around and plays video games all day. downplays his crimes. He makes himself. Am I missing anything, Carla? I mean, sounds exactly like
Didn't
this other.
consummate their marriage, according
Well,
to.
they weren't technically married, but he didn't
Well,
have a relationship with that way, and he attributed that to her illness.
yeah, and I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been put out there. I mean, this has been put out there. I'm comparing the
Yes,
similarities between this guy that lived close to you to Matthew on here, um, and downplaying it doesn't make the crime. And I think the third, wasn't it a third degree offense he had, Matthew?
I'm not sure. That I was hoping that Richard could
We're
come
going
in
to
here.
let us know.
It's I don't know this for fact, but because Matthew was a minor when this first incident happened, I'm sure records are sealed.
Mhm.
So
And people say, well, he hasn't done it since. But wasn't there a long period of time that Bill didn't do anything in between his offenses? Not everybody reports these crimes, correct? Hello?
oh, I was buffering for a second.
Yeah, I said not everybody reports all these crimes.
No, they don't. As a matter of fact, more people don't than they do. And 1 in 5 girls are going to be a victim of, I'm trying to watch my word, um, are going to be a victim in one way or another.
All right.
Well, and like I said, I mean, I just really, like I said before, my biggest regret is not following instinct and doing something. And it's really important that we don't. If you feel something, do something. Oh, I
Um,
heard you talking about that. Um, I mean, he also says that he's a victim of sexual assault. Sorry, SA. When he was a kid, started off with his sister when he was a minor, and I don't have proof of this. My gut tells me that he's done this, been caught to many other people or to many other kids.
yeah, because not everybody reports these. I mean, my sister and I were um, molested by a friend of the family, and it was never reported. We never got justice. We were never believed. I was just, everybody thought this guy was such a nice guy. He would never do something like that. Well, sorry, he did. Came right into our bedroom while my parents were home.
Yeah, you're right, Josephine. Women do as well, but the majority are men, and we just happen to be talking about 2 people we did by that happen to be men. So I'm not.
And it's far reaching. It's out, it
Yes, it
affects,
is.
and I mean, it's even affected you. I know you going to that hearing last week has affected you.
I've never been in a criminal proceeding in my life. I was so proud of the state's attorney, this little firecracker of a woman who's in the hallway, and she said, "I'm asking for 90 years to life, and I'm getting it." And
Yeah.
she did. And the judge who took, I mean, just handled everything with so calm, but just the words. I was trying to hold back my tears in there.
Right.
um, it was nice to see justice done. And I do hope this little girl, when she's older and can understand more, is that because she chose to be brave and was willing to fight. That's the only thing that got him when he found out that the girl was going to testify and that her mother would be there as a support person. He immediately pled guilty. And thank goodness he did. At least that little girl didn't have to go through that. But the mere fact that she was to do it has put Bill behind bars for the rest of his life and he'll hurt another kid ever again. And I hope when she's old enough that that gives her some sort of
There's also the enablers too.
what's that?
There's also the enablers too. Let's say
Well,
it's
this
okay
is what I
because
don't understand. Like,
it's okay. It's okay. He was only 12. Bill was young too, wasn't he? When he first offended?
I don't know his age. I just know from what the mothers were telling me, he was making that claim that that happened to him when he was a so. But that's what I mean. There's a lot of things that go into that. But
Well, they don't put you away for 6 years for a misunderstanding.
that's what I'm saying, Carla.
Right.
There's no way, especially a youth.
Oh, there's Richard.
Oh, I wish you would come up, Richard. I have some questions
Yeah,
for you.
Richard. Um, we wanted to talk to you last night, but you were busy. Um, if you would
Cheating
come
on
up,
us.
I would appreciate it. I went through some of your videos yesterday and whoo. I'll tell you, the worst one I watched was the one with the interview with Missy.
That's what I thought, Richard. It was a minor that they're sealed. Okay, third degree sexual assault of the state of Iowa includes I course. Gross. Mm. This is hard for a lot of people to hear, but at the same time, I think it's really important to make people and I give um, Richard. I know people haven't always listened to you with regards to. Thank you. Thank you for trying to make people aware. Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
Jessica.
I have a newfound. I saw Richard in totally different eyes yesterday with totally different eyes because. Hang on, I have to answer that. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Ems. Positive. Shaz. Anita. And then I re-listened to the yesterday, Pink, and how there is no rehabilitation. I just wish our system could do a better
Hi, Richard.
Hi,
I
job.
know.
how are you?
Good.
We're okay.
I have a couple questions for you if it's okay.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It was my son that his records were sealed from his first offense. Do you know if there's any subsequent by him?
I don't. There's nothing documented. If you're asking if he's reoffended,
Yeah.
um, I there's nothing official.
Okay.
Um, I think this is personal, my personal opinion of the situation is that I don't know how people feel about this or not, but it's hard when someone is convicted of something like that and they don't register. Um, because I'm trying to be fair, because technically it's not a crime against some other person, but I don't know. I just can't. I link it to the original crime because that's part of the sentencing and the punishment. So, as far as I'm concerned, he was arrested and convicted of failure to register in 2015. And yes, he wasn't arrested and convicted for hurting anyone per se, but I don't know how other people feel about that because that's just how I personally feel. That's not really relevant to anything else. But since it is attached to his original crime, I just feel like that's an extension of it. And uh, if you're someone like that and you're evading detection and you're trying to not be noticed, I don't know. It's just hard not to feel great about that. And no, he hasn't been arrested or convicted, as far as I know, for anything sexually related. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear that if someone is younger and they're doing things to people, animals, that the odds are that they're not just gonna mature, quote unquote, out of it when they become older. Like it just doesn't happen. There's something's already gone wrong, and that's just how it's going to be. The best that they're going to be able to do is force themselves to not act on those quote unquote urges.
Yeah.
What do you think
And
about downplaying it? Because that was downplayed.
I look at it from two perspectives because I'm trying to be fair. Because this isn't a personal vendetta against me, against them, versus me. It's obviously it doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good. And when you are trying to excuse something like that, people, I can't imagine thinking that if you're saying that about someone, regardless how you feel about them, if you're married to them, if they're your family member, I can't logically or rationally imagine that someone can say, well, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you have to, in the back of your mind, probably accept that people are not going to be okay with that. Like, yes, you may have a different experience with the person, so on and so forth, but trying to downplay it, no. Um, and what happened yesterday and what's been happening with them is constantly doing that, like
Yeah.
constantly throwing things out there, constantly throwing and things that aren't relevant to what he did. Well, starting with like the age, and that's kind of like to me, it's a deflection. I mean, 12 years old. I mean, like I was saying on another stream yesterday, when you're saying 12 years old, I mean, who wants to think about that? I mean, I doubt the demographic, her audience is probably middle-aged women. And I doubt middle-aged women want to think too much about sexual assault. So, and with children, it
Yeah.
when you say he was 12 years old and then you reference peeing in the park, I think most people are going to think it can't be that bad. I mean, most people probably don't want to believe that. And that works for them. I mean, obviously it has for years. And on the other hand, for him personally, do I believe that he should be hounded? No. However, when you go online and on YouTube and say these things,
Yes. What
and
What do you think the motivation in them doing that repeatedly?
hmm, My personal opinion is that I think this stems from something that has nothing to do with him. It's her need for validation and her need to prove that she has redeemed a sex offender. And I I'm not going to say he's a victim of this, but he's being used his past. She's using his past as something to uh, tell people that she was a life coach, I guess, at one point, and he's now a good person because under her watch, he's a changed man, so on and so forth. That's just my opinion, like what I kind of pick up on whatever's going on over there is that why else would I can't imagine marrying someone. I mean, I'm not a woman, but can you imagine marrying someone like that with the past? Yes, he was a child, but
No
and
way.
then going publicly on a YouTube channel with thousands of subscribers and saying, "My I married someone that molested children, and he's not that person, and he's not an offender because he's not offending right now, right at this moment. So
Is that
he's
what
no
she said?
longer an offender."
Is that what
What's
she
that?
says? He's no longer an offender because he's not offending right now.
Yes, I believe she actually said that on stream yesterday on
Wow.
this. I
Wow.
have to I have to jump off and come back up because I'm losing sound. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not only husband who has this same criminal past. I don't know what's lacking in her. Um, she's an enabler, a fixer. I don't know. Um, no.
Yeah, but it's been proven that they can't be fixed.
Yeah.
You
No.
there, Richard?
Yes, I'm there. I'm sorry, I like lost sound right as you were asking me something.
I,
Oh, what it was now, Richard. Sorry. Well, this is her second husband. I mean, how does she find these people? I'm curious how.
Now go ahead.
Do you know how they met?
They met on according to her own words, and I have the recording. They met on a phone service where, and I'm not judging. You see, that's the thing is like I'm not judging her or even him for anything. I'm just trying to relay what's happening. And she, they met through like a phone service, dating phone service. I don't know. I guess where you kind of like submit something. I'm not sure how that works, but a service. And she knew, according to her, that he was an offender. And before she even returned his call, and initiated contact, she was aware of this. So, I mean, this is where personal opinion comes in, but the whole thing is weird. The channel,
Yeah.
her kind of like pushing him onto people and saying he's not an offender anymore. And from, I have to look at it from their perspective too. I understand that she's married to him and she doesn't want people to, I mean, he's her husband. I understand that part. But when you're saying something like that, and I can't get to a place where you would think that that's going to go over well at all.
Understand that. I really don't understand that. Um, I believe she put this out. I just want to confirm if this is true because I find this quite odd myself. Is it true that she said they have never consummated their marriage?
Yes, she had. And he had said himself they did one of these like where they were kind of like side by side talking about it. And he was saying that I'm trying not to be graphic about this, but also, I mean, it is relevant, but he was unable to bring himself to full excitement, I guess, or really any excitement towards her.
Because
And
he's not attracted to grown people. Sorry. I'm sorry.
oh, it's all good.
Wow.
And I guess when you put that and you match that up to they were married basically right after he was out of prison for failure to register, and they've been married, I guess, what, 7 years now. And
Oh, wow.
that
I didn't know
video
that.
was a couple years ago or something like that, year and a half ago, not sure, but that would have been 5+ years into the marriage. And I mean, this someone coming out of prison, a man that gets married, locked up, and I mean, I just know how it is. I can't imagine why. Well, I can't imagine why, but if he can't bring himself to be attracted to his own wife ever,
Yeah.
and the most he can do is hug her pretty much and give her like a kiss on the forehead.
Oh, wow.
And this is all subjective, but there's also science that tells us like the odds of why that would be when you line everything up. I
Yeah.
mean, that's and then he
Yeah.
talked about urges, and that's he doesn't have those urges anymore. What does that mean? I mean, um,
Uh,
and then you have, I mean, this is all on YouTube too. This is not just my, wishful thinking or my take on it. This is my take on what's been said on YouTube. And
wait a minute, Rick.
go ahead.
So he claims that it was all a misunderstanding, but then Adam says he doesn't have those urges anymore. So which is it?
I think that he said that I don't think he personally has ever said it was a misunderstanding. I think that what is done is that there's no he's never really talked about what he's done other than touching. That's the most he's ever said as far as I know, touching. And I mean that's very vague. And
Yeah,
when you
but
have this the state of
there's
Iowa's,
touching.
I mean touching can mean a lot of things, and not that I'm not trying to get to be graphic, and I don't have his court records. I don't know what he did per se. And it is difficult to think that the state of Iowa would sentence a 12-year-old boy to juvenile detention for 6 years if he groped. I mean, it's possible, I'm sure, but the odds are probably not that he copped a feel. And I'm not
Yeah,
trying to be insensitive, but I mean, in all reality,
yeah,
I think it would make sense that there's probably a little bit more than he put his hand on a child's thigh. I mean, let's be real.
yeah. Oh, I want to address something, Pink.
Sure.
Via my research, um, as it relates to children, it's about 17%. And at 1 out of every 5 offenders repeat. Anyways, which is anyone
That's 17% too high for me, and
is too many, in my opinion.
I'm not trying to clutch my
I wanted to
pearls.
talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh no, I was just saying like I'm not trying to come up here and clutch my pearls about Matthew or anything like that. I am trying to maintain a objective stance on this, and it is sensitive.
Yes.
17%. I guess. What I know about children is that the one of the excuses, and I know that's kind of where we started off with, is explaining these type of things away, and that is that he himself was molested, and that's awful. And he didn't deserve to be molested if that happened. There's no records of that, but I think it's probably likely if he was doing the same thing at 12 years old himself. But that's not an excuse either. Um, there's still a choice involved.
Absolutely. Ab-
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Um, oh, I ask you about the registry and what you know about that. The current state he's living in require that he register or not.
The current state he lives in does not require him to register. He is registered in the state of Iowa and will be for another decade. Um, and that's also one of the things that is used to, I guess, normalize him and minimize what was done. Is that they say that he was taken off the registry, and I'll be very charitable and say, okay, that's I haven't seen it personally. People have told me they've seen it, so I'll grant that the state of Illinois may have taken him off their registry. However, when he was convicted in Iowa. So basically, from what I've kind of ascertained, and I know I was kind of like Pink yesterday. She thought there was kind of like a nationwide system that everyone, uh, there was only one kind of rule to follow, and that's just not true. Each state has their own requirements, and unfortunately, it seems like if the crime happened in a different state, the state you're in is apparently willing to kind of be rid of that. And I would have to assume that it has to be some kind of financial issue, funding for keeping track of these people. And I know it's crude and unfortunate. We all want to think that the states we live in are all looking out for everyone and their safety, but it's, numbers and finance. And
Yes,
essentially, they're looking at it is this is Iowa's problem. We don't want him on the books because that's just one more person to look after. And
yes, exactly, exactly. To me, is I
Well,
I don't agree at all.
he has to be on a registry for 10 more years in Iowa.
correct,
Correct?
per his own mouth, yes, correct.
Do you know how the registry works, Richard? Do they have to check in? How does that work?
I'm not a, fortunately for me, I don't know the ins and the outs of registering as a sex offender because I'm not, but I honestly do not know the steps from what I understood yesterday. If he goes into Iowa because he lives across the river, so just a bridge trip across the river, supposedly he is supposed to actually check in and notify the state of Iowa law enforcement that he is there.
Okay,
Um, beyond that, I think when you move somewhere, you have to register. I don't know anything else other than that. Honestly, I don't.
yeah.
So like changing addresses or yeah, I just don't know the ins and the outs. But as far as I understood yesterday, if he goes back to that state, he is supposed to declare himself.
Okay, got it. Oh, um, I'm still smacked why they want to, or Dee Dee to keep bringing this up and triggering people and then crying and repercussions of that. Just stop doing that. Please.
Did Richard, were you in here when she was telling her story about her neighbor?
Yes. Yeah, I heard it.
He's got 90 years. He was sentenced to 90 years in prison. And he's basically ruined the lives of I don't know how many kids.
Well, he also started out as a youth by molesting his sister. And this is just what we know. I mean, like I said, there was 24 years in between his first conviction and conviction. My gut tells me there were other. I don't have proof of that, but that's just my gut feeling. I also um, just had a certain feeling when he would. I would have my granddaughter over, and he would come knocking at my door, and it's like inappropriate, weird. What do you want? And then I would never let him. I would just go out to my front patio, and he would try and try and get her to sit on his lap. And thank God I had knowledge of him prior to this and wouldn't let him get her. But and then I just shut him off all completely, ghosted him. And I remember he came over one day, and uh, my husband went out front and said, "You guys don't want to be my more like a little boy." And was like, "We're just gonna do our thing. You do your thing, Bill." And then this girl came into his life with his last victim. I don't know. I mean, just to hear, like, a part of her impact statement was that Bill told her about his past. What amount of that was the truth, I don't know. But she said, "I gave you a chance, and you gave me. You
Jem
hurt
said
my daughter."
if a SO moves to her state, Wisconsin, from a different state and they don't register, they will serve jail time.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that that's how it should be. If it causes a certain state's money and time, I would want I would want to be protected
I don't
by
know why it's not the same across the board.
a nationwide system that's
Right.
consistent across the board. Yeah, that would be really nice. Be really nice.
If you don't mind, I guess I would like to add some actual um, Iowa's code for third degree sexual assault. If you wouldn't mind, could I read that?
Sure.
Please.
Okay. According to the Iowa Code, you are guilty of third degree sexual assault if you committed a sex act against another person by force, the victim was incapable of giving consent, or there was certain relationships between you and the victim.
Well, a 3-year-old is not going to give consent.
Correct.
Right.
And here's the thing is I'm not saying he forcibly did anything. We'll never know unless he presents his actual court documents because they're sealed.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're basically saying, take our word for it. He did nothing. It wasn't that big of a deal. All I'm saying is that the Iowa Code for third degree sexual assault includes use of force, and then you follow the trajectory of his juvenile detention and the carryover to the sexual registry, sex offender registry. I mean,
See, that's key to this whole thing. is I imagine that a judicial system would ruin essentially a child's future if there wasn't something very serious that happened. That's my own opinion. But
Did
I
you start talking about this, Richard, because you looked into it or because she just put that out there? High profiling manipulation.
I think going back to how I got involved in this in the very first place was that when I first heard about her, as far as I knew, I had heard whispers of this, but obviously I didn't know anything about it because I didn't know anything about her. So when I kind of first interacted with her, and what kicked this all off was um, she she actually was equating something that I was saying to being insensitive when it comes to child, uh, essentially what her own husband did. I don't remember exactly what she said, but I said something, and she equated that to me not behaving as such as like her husband was convicted. And I just was like what are you talking about? And that was too sensitive for her. A joke that I told that was nothing to do with sexual assault, she was equating that to. And I know I'm not really telling the story that great, but basically we were on panel together. I said something, and then I'm like, okay. And then she said it again. And I'm like, all right, this is weird. I'm like, isn't your husband a child molester or something? Because at that point I didn't know anything about the details or the other husband and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what kicked this off was her equating me to a child molester essentially. So I'm like, okay, let's let's see what's going on over there then, and the rest is history. I have the clip, but I would dig it. I'll have to dig it up.
Wow, wow,
I know that sounds rather petty, but I mean, in my mind, I don't think too many men want to be, lumped in with child molester, rapist. I mean,
yeah.
to me, that's worse than anything else. I mean, I would rather be labeled a murderer than that. I mean, come on, that's bad. That's really
When
bad.
he said the ages yesterday, it was like it was nothing. And I was like, "Oh, my jaw was on the ground. Like I was that shocked because they
Well,
could always downplay. To me, it was like, okay, yeah, so he was a kid and he peed in the park or whatever. That's not so bad. No, that's not what it is. Then don't you think people should know or be
I
warned?
I do, and that's part of like it, we're trying to understand something that is probably we're never going to really understand, but Dee Dee likes to pretend like this was like they were minding their own business, and someone like me came along and basically investigated them on the side, like looked into all their stuff, found this information out, and blasted all over the internet, for everyone to see just to embarrass them. When in fact, it was her herself who put this information out.
Yeah, this
And
part I don't
exactly,
understand that.
exactly, and that just leads to endless questions. Why would someone do this? I mean, it's true. And then they get upset when the heat's on them, when they're being ridiculed. And then the excuses come. It's an endless cycle. He was 12 years old. And that's where it starts, is that, what you want to think, what they don't say what happened. They just say he was 12. He
See,
was
the
molested.
minimizing of it is what infuriates me. Or are the people like the person that me so heated yesterday, typing in all caps, he was 12. What's your point?
There's a lot of people that support her. You know that, Richard.
Yes, and that's the other part too, is when I started up on, like, why are you attacking this poor? I'm like, this poor woman has like thousands of subscribers. Like at that time, I think I had like a couple hundred. And I'm like, this is out of control. This is not some account with like a couple, 10, 15, 17 subscribers being weird on the internet. I mean, this is someone that offers their services, paid services. Last time I checked, it was on in her about section as a life coach and all this other garbage. And this person is out there, pushing this on the masses. And I know people, well, you don't have to watch. Well, that doesn't mean it's right. I mean, yeah, I don't have to watch, but I don't really want to see it either. I have to deal with it. And it's not even that having to deal with him. It's that they're lying. They're lying about it and they're being deceptive.
Yes. And they're trouble by continuing to discuss this. I mean, you created it by talking about it in the first place. I don't want people to feel a certain way about it.
Hello.
Hi, Gemma.
You want to tell your story, honey?
Yeah, so basically a few years ago, this is similar to what you guys are talking about, so that's why I want to kind of share what happened to me. A few years ago, I used to live near a local care home, and there's this guy there who used to always be at the bus stop on a Saturday morning, and me, my sister, my mum routinely on a Saturday used to go to town and treat ourselves. And this guy would be sitting there at the bus stop singing to himself and just kind of talking to the public as they're walking past, wishing them a good day, all that kind of stuff. And then one day we got to the bus stop on a Saturday and he had his wallet out and he starts offering me and my sister money. And at first it was like £2, £3. We thought, oh, he's just being a nice old man, not really thinking it was something serious. And then it got to one time, my mum actually had to say, you're acting a bit dodgy. My children are like, at the time I was 11, my sister was 7, and he started paying us money, like he'd give us £20 and say, put it towards treats or whatever. My mum's like, hold on a minute, you give my daughters like really a lot of money. They're not used to having a lot of money. And he then started grooming me and my sister. He would comment on the way we dressed, the way we looked with our hair, and he'd try and stroke us on our face and start saying some really creepy stuff. It turns out that he was a serial sex offender and he recently died in prison after being convicted about 20 odd years ago, after he got found out for touching little boys. And my mum's carried out with her all her life. She feels guilty that me and my sister got groomed because we thought he was just a sweet old man, and he touched kids. How can you do that knowing that you've got such a dark side to you? Like, I don't understand how these guys get away with it. And this guy that you're talking about now just brings it back for me. So I'm like, I knew this man inside and out. I knew this man was in a care home. He was old. He was, yes, he looks like creepy, but I didn't really think nothing of it. And then now I'm like, this guy got away with it until 20 odd years ago, and his DNA was found on some clothing. It's like, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And people keep excusing these people.
With it for a lot of years. Hi, Joy.
And the fact that this guy is using autism as an excuse, I'm sorry, I'm autistic. You don't get away with it. I'm sorry. Do not ever, ever, ever use autism as an excuse to get away with shit. It's not going to fly, and I won't allow it. Do
Well,
not.
there's no evidence that autism causes you to, oh, well, I'm not.
Just because we're autistic doesn't make us friggin' sexual offenders or whatever. It's something that you do in the brain that makes you be like that. You choose to be a sexual offender. You choose to have urges. It's whether you follow through with that action and do it. You know right from wrong. It's human nature.
He does use the autism card quite a bit.
Yeah, it's you don't use the autism card, regardless if you're guilty, not guilty, whatever. You don't use it. Period. It's just you're making the whole autistic community at that point sound like we're a bunch of dangerous child offenders, and we're not. A lot of us have no criminal background whatsoever.
Right.
Well, and with that point too, there's way more survivors of SA who don't ever offend. Just because you're a victim doesn't mean that it makes you a perpetrator. Just excuses for the behavior, and that's another correlation between both of them. Just downplaying, excuses, making themselves the victim.
Yeah, it's like the man who groomed me and my sister. He told the court when he got sentenced that he had a disturbed childhood. He told the court that he was lonely. He said that he didn't mean to hurt people. He did it because he cared about the children and that he wanted to be friends with them. I'm like, how can you sexually assault someone and tell the court that you cared about them? You don't care about someone and then sexually assault them.
Yeah.
That's just backwards.
I hate to chime in, and I get what you're saying, and I'm not defending anything, but yes, trying to say, I mean, in their mind, they probably do think that, but that doesn't change the fact that whether they think what they're doing is proper or not, they're still hurting people. And them saying that I thought I was, I was just doing what I thought was natural. Like I love this person or this child or whatever, and I was just expressing that. Well, it doesn't really change the fact that you've destroyed their lives. I mean, I doubt that you saying that means anything. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
didn't
No,
mean to
you're fine,
butt
Richard.
in.
Angela says he is on the spectrum only. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. But he never
Spectrum
seemed
autism.
Yeah, autism is a spectrum, so it depends where he falls on it, like his behaviour and how severe he is. Like with me, people will say to me, "Oh, well, you don't act autistic. You don't seem like you're bothered by anything." But I mask mine so well that I don't come across like I'm autistic until I have my meltdowns or my panic attacks, and people, "Oh, Gemma's behaving badly. She's a spoiled brat." No, it's because I've had too much overwhelm and I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
It depends where you are on the spectrum. I'm able to mastermind to such a point where I can act pretty much normally.
Yeah.
So
The last time I checked, I don't know of any scientific research that says being autistic has anything to do with making one a sex offender or making one prone to be a sex offender or making one prone to having
I did a
urges
little
towards
research
children.
last night, Richard. I'm not finding any evidence to that whatsoever.
I watched another case in America a few years ago. A young guy who murdered his sister, and one of the excuses he used was that he was autistic and schizophrenic. And I'm just like, no, 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 no. You are mentally
no,
backwards
you're
if you
not.
think
You're
you
not
use
wrong,
that.
Amanda. She said what worries her is that he's around her grandkids. Oh my
Who,
God.
Dee Dee's grandkids?
I imagine. Is that who you're talking about, Matter? Yeah, I had no idea. Really? Richard? Is that true?
Hmm?
Did she bring
Stop it.
That he's around
her
uh,
grandkids?
her
Thank you.
grandkids?
Mr.
Does she have
Positive.
grandkids?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, he's around. They go
Well,
together. They go
see,
to.
there you go.
Yeah. That
Well,
doesn't.
I think
I'm not accusing him of anything.
no,
But
but I
yes, he
think
is around.
that's dangerous. I do.
Well, I'm trying to get the mentality of oversharing things about your life, like that they haven't consummated their marriage and why. I mean, these are just things that you should not share on the internet. And what benefit is that for anyone to know? I mean, I just don't understand the mentality.
Some things you should just keep private. There's no need to go and dish out information like that on the internet, because once you put it out there, everyone's going to find out who you are, what you've done, and once they're able to get that information, you're pretty much asking for trolling and people to do all sorts of stuff to you. It's just, why would you do it? It's
Okay.
just,
Mander says, my ex-stepfather who abused me, abused as a minor, and it was swept under the rug. Nobody told us until he was in trouble for what he did to me. And the internet, unfortunately, wasn't around at that time.
I'm sorry, Amanda.
I'm really sorry to hear
I'm
that.
sorry, Mandolin. That's awful. My prayers and sympathies are with you. That's awful. That's really
Well, I
bad.
think what's dangerous with Dee is that she downplays it. Well, I think they both do, to be honest with you. I think it's, well, I was only 12. I'm autistic. I'm this, I'm that.
Same with Bill. Always,
You know,
and,
there's
and
so many parallels with Bill and Matthew. It's not
he
even.
was a habitual liar. I mean, he wasn't even good at it. Some of the things he would say to me were just like, I, you're not convincing me, or just saying he was having an issue with someone in the community, and he was telling me that he was going to contact his friends at the sheriff's office, and they know what he did, but they have so much respect for him and they'll back him. I don't know a law enforcement officer on this planet that has respect for. I mean, just stupid stuff like that. It doesn't even matter. I'm just saying that he would just make up the wildest stories.
But
Oh my god,
she
Pink Lady
knew.
Luck.
She knew who she was marrying before she married him.
Yeah,
Correct.
Pink Lady Luck. She's put something in the chat. They said my girlfriend's 3-year-old was drowned on Easter by a 16-year-old autistic boy. He was never charged because we were told he was autistic. It's horrific. There's no justice. I'm really sorry. That's from a fellow autistic. I will never ever condone that. That's just absolute disgraceful, disgusting. And I hope the 16-year-old autistic guy gets life behind bars and he rots in hell. That's just disgusting.
Mandolin said profiling, manipulation, it was terrible. They all hid from us until he was literally in jail. It happens so often. These people have the benefit of knowing and allow him around the kids. Yeah, kids are innocent. They don't know what's going on. I had no idea. I didn't even know she had grandchildren. But didn't she choose her husband over her kids? Like also, it wasn't
Yes,
that
she did.
with her.
She had a choice when she married Matthew, and I would like, I mean, and I'm not even trying to deflect, but see, this is the problem with this whole thing is that as much as harm as he has done in his past, we don't know what ever since, but the problem is her. She's the one that's showcasing this kind of thing, and they're at least equally culpable. But I'm sorry, what was the question? One more time.
Oh, about her daughter.
Oh yeah. Okay, so she's on the record for saying that she knew he was a sex offender before they even spoke, and time goes by, they fall in love, whatever, don't care. But so the state tells them that she has a choice to make. He's a sex offender. If he's going to move into the home, his daughter or her daughter has to move out. I mean, they can't cohabitate with. He's not allowed to be in the home with the child.
Right.
And she had a choice to make. She chose him, So her daughter moved in with her dad.
Wow.
And I'm not judging her or anything like that. I mean, other people can. That's for them, but that's just what happened. And that's just for me, her decision making and what she does is bizarre. I mean, it's as simple as that. The whole
Is this true? She showed her grandkid's birthday party and he was there. Like I would be more careful. I don't know, I guess. Like I would be more protective of my grandkids and my children.
well, you
Um,
see, that's the
no.
thing. He's not an offender, according to her and him, but mostly her. She's actually the vocal one. He kind of sits back and I can only assume that he wishes she never said anything, but I think that she is the big proponent of all this, of his defense. I mean, she's more adamant about his innocence than he is. At least he admits that what he did was wrong, but she's saying that he's not an offender. He's not offending now, so he's not an offender. Um, that that's just how they see it, or how she sees it. They both see it that way, but she'll go on and on about it that he was, but now he's not, so he's not. He was 12, he was molested, blah 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 blah. The laundry list of excuses. Um, and that's her doing that. So that says a lot about her. And it's easy
Right.
to kind of throw him in front and be like, well, he's the bad one. But I think she's just as bad, but just as responsible for all of this as he is, because she's the one that presented it. She keeps trying to normalize it, and it's
Yes.
pretty sick.
Well, I'll speak on it as a woman and as a mother. There is nothing or no one that would take me away from my child. I I I don't understand that.
She was in love. That's what she
I think
says.
I heard that somewhere.
Yes,
Well,
there's
I
a
did
clip
hear
of her
that.
saying that.
doesn't
Yeah,
the
I
love
think
of
I
your
heard that
child,
clip.
shouldn't that
She
be
said,
stronger
"You
than your
you're
love
not
for a
you're
man?
not walking in my shoes. You don't know it was the hardest decision I ever had to make. I was in love." Wow. Wow. Just wow.
Wow. I do not understand that.
I don't either.
What does she love? His
He loves
work
him.
ethic?
Oh,
His
he doesn't have a work ethic. He
no,
doesn't
I'm being sarcastic.
exactly. Because from what I've seen, he doesn't help her around the
Well,
house. He
this
doesn't
isn't
want to.
helpful. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to throw jabs. I do not understand it. That's your relationship. I just wish you would keep it off of the internet so that it doesn't trigger other people with as it relates to these specifics that no one needs to know.
Yes, it should be unconditional. It should be.
She,
Evidently.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was listening to some of your streams yesterday. I was very interested. Um, how far-reaching um, abuse can be of people that have to live with it for years and years and years. Your interview with Missy,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the whole thing. I mean, that poor woman is still living with guilt. How many years later?
Well, the mother of the first victim, 24 years later, is still dealing with it. I see a lot of anger there for because it really screwed her daughter up for all of her childhood. She didn't get her stuff together until she was well into her 20s. She's just now starting to get her life on track. But There's still a tremendous amount of guilt on the mother's part, a lot of anger. And the mother of this latest victim has just started down that road. And my heart hurts for her. It's not just the child that's impacted. It's the siblings, it's the family, it's the mother, it's the grandparents. Heck, Bill's father was even there in support of the victim's family. I mean, how sad to know that your son is going to prison. Will never, for the rest of his life, he's never gonna be free again. That's got to be a really hard thing to deal with. There's a lot of people impacted.
Yeah.
There is no cure. That's right. According to the research I've done, that's can't fix it.
Well, I don't understand how someone can be married that many years and not have ever consummated their marriage. And I'm not judging, but I just don't understand. Sorry.
Well, the reason they haven't consummated their marriage is what's disturbing to me. I mean, and it's really none of my business, but since you
No.
put it out there, you're enabling, or because you did put it out there, people are going to have certain thoughts about it. I just don't understand why you just don't keep that part of your life private. No one needs to know this.
Well, that's really the rub, isn't it? Um, that's the thing, is that the cycle of putting things out there that are totally against the grain, totally unacceptably, socially, morally, whatever, and then being upset that people are ridiculing you and don't like what you're saying and being offended by that, and why aren't they going along with this? Why aren't they supporting this? This is fine. This, it's all in the past. It's
Don't you
why
think
are you
it's a
doing this to
form of
me?
manipulation, Richard?
Yes, I think she's an emotional predator.
Yeah.
Dee Dee is, and I say that because she and I both know. The confrontation yesterday, I don't know if you remember that, Carla, but I know I was in the chat, but her only response was to like fall over sideways screaming shut up, because
Yesterday.
she yeah, she
Yes,
knows
it
that
was.
she's wrong, and she doesn't want to be wrong. She wants everyone to accept how she lives, and that's kind of how I see this whole thing. Is why is she doing this? Why do people have to know this? Because she has to be accepted, and the only way for that to
You,
happen is to be
you
validated.
do you wonder what her motivation was for sharing all that? Because to me, that is like a shameful. I mean, I would be so ashamed. I would want to keep that part of my life secret, but she seems to share
Well, I think
everything.
some people enjoy being a victim.
You don't think she's even a victim, though?
Well, you know what I mean. Like there, shit.
Yes, it's hardship. It's that
Yes,
she has to
that's
keep.
exactly it. And from the little that I've seen, she's always putting in whatever she's doing, how hard life is for them and the reason that it is. And it's never their fault. It's COVID's fault, or it's this because of this or that. They take no responsibility for the position that they're in.
None.
Right. Has she been doing this for years, though, Richard? Because she's been on YouTube for 10 years.
I'm not sure what happened, but I think she started out doing videos, and there's been this decline where her circumstances have gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. Like when you watch you can see her videos from like years ago, like a decade ago. Like she's in a normal setting, she's in a normal house, and just the decline in her mental status seems to be present. It's pretty evident that I don't know if that's her own. I could, that's just conjecture, but you can see that there is a big change from years ago to now. I mean, it's totally different from normal setting, nice house, normal things to, I mean, where she lives now. I mean, and not even trying to trash her for that, but I mean, she lives basically in squalor,
Yeah,
animals
well,
all over
just
the
because
place.
you're falling on hard times doesn't mean that your house has to be in that condition. There's plenty of people that lack money and their houses don't look like that.
But that wouldn't, if her house was clean and it didn't look like a disaster and there wasn't issues with every single thing, how would she get donations?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I said I think she likes to be a victim, it
She
serves her
does.
well. It serves her well.
And I'm not even sure that she likes it. I think it's like a necessary, I don't want to say evil, but it's necessary for their lifestyle. I mean, they have to have a certain image that they're in constant chaos and uncertainty, and something's always breaking down. There's animals need food. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. We lost our jobs. COVID. Blah 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 blah. Endless cycles of chaos and uncertainty. And if that wasn't going on, it would probably be difficult to, get the sympathy bucks.
Yeah, because
And
I
I
mean,
mean, she's a
has
poor
this
woman
been her
living with a sex offender.
Yeah. Has this been her history pretty much since she's been on YouTube? Because I know she's been around for a while.
No, that's the thing. No, this is like within the last several years, but she's been on YouTube since like 2008.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's been a while now, but
I always thought
she
her
didn't start out
channel.
doing this.
I always thought her channel was about religion, and I really liked her. I really did. Um, I'm not saying I don't like her. I just think it's like it's the whole thing is like I don't know.
Well, because I've never really watched her, I did tune in and watched a video for about 15 minutes. And my first impression is that she comes across very sweet and very genuine.
Hmm.
And I was trying to not let my what I already knew um, skew my how I was going to look at it from someone else's perspective. She does come across as very genuine, very sweet, and so I can
Well,
see where
She
people.
comes across as a victim. Like I know, and I didn't go into her live stream like every day, but every once in a while I'd go in there and I've donated to her channel because I felt sorry for her. She doesn't have a refrigerator. She doesn't have this. She doesn't have food. I mean, I've felt sorry for her to the point where I've donated to her. Um,
exactly. That's
It's a
the
source of
that's the
income.
Bob story.
It's a source of income.
it is
Yeah, and I don't know how much she makes, but I mean,
enough to get by to pay her bills,
And
according to
more
her.
than she would get if she wasn't on the internet complaining about how difficult life was for her.
right.
This is how I see her. She wants to be seen, like you're saying. When you add all of these things together, the religious, she's a woman, the demographic that's watching. I mean, this all is a setup to be an endless cycle of income. And I hate boiling it down to that it's not that simplistic, but it kind of is in a way that a strong woman, this is how she wants to be seen, a strong, independent woman, smart, religious, is trying to fix her former deviant sex offender husband, and she has done that. And the only way people know that she's doing these things, she's curing the sex offenders, is by talking about it. Otherwise, what good is it? What good are your good deeds if no one knows about it, right? I mean, she's out there, she's doing this, she's doing that for us, essentially. And she's reformed him. He's a changed man. He's no longer a sex offender, according to her, because he doesn't offend. And
Yeah.
she's religious. I mean, that's all these things kind of cover for all the discrepancies. I mean, discrepancies.
Yeah.
And no one wants to question it. I mean, and there's a reason why they do these things, or why she says these things and does the things that she does, because no one wants to look into it.
Well, I don't think you've gotten the credit you deserve, Richard, for ringing the bell, you know? And I personally want to say thank you.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Richard yesterday. He knows how I feel about all of this because I think it's been swept under the carpet over and over again because, well, she's still going to have her supporters. Come on, let's face it.
And I'm not trying to remove her from YouTube or anything like that, or say that she shouldn't be allowed to do anything. But it doesn't make sense when you're putting stuff online publicly and you have a large audience. She was over here doing it, and you're doing it arrogantly, and you know that people are not going to agree with you. Playing the victim doesn't really look great.
Yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of people who use this platform as a source of income. And the saying "a fool and their money is soon parted" has never made more sense to me than what I see going on here. But I mean, it's their money. They can choose to do with it what they want. It's their time. They can choose to tune in and listen to that. I choose not to. I don't understand it. I probably never will understand it. And most importantly, I just want to say, please stop putting this sensitive information out there and exposing parts of your personal life. And when people have a reaction or opinion about it, stop making yourself a victim. Please.
I think people feel sorry for her because of the shape that, I mean, the way she's living, how she has to live, how she's so poor. She's kind of frumpy looking. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here.
But we all make our choices in life, right, Carla?
Yeah, exactly. And she's married to
Yeah, I mean, you've made some
someone who
choices
she
that
chose.
put you in certain situations. Um, I mean, we all fall on hard times. That's life. But to continually be in a state of, I mean, I don't, I mean, I know there's a lot of people struggling and I'm not trying to minimize it. However, I do think that in a lot of cases, people make choices that result in them not living the life that maybe they could have lived. And that and to rely continually on other people to pull you out of it, you're why change? Why try to make changes in your life that are gonna get you out of that situation by yourself? Instead, she's relying on other people to finance her lifestyle
Well,
or
there
her
was a
lack
stream
of.
that was on yesterday that wasn't too happy with my stream because they figured that he should be left alone, that he might do something crazy.
Or it was your fault. Now he has to leave YouTube.
Right. And yeah, it should never have been brought up. Well, I don't think I brought it up because I really didn't know about it. But yeah, I did ask him how old his victims were. That I did do. And he's the one who said it. I mean, he came right out and said it. So do I take it back? No. I'm going to repost. I'm going to put that stream back on public.
Well, I think you should, just because it's why this stream is happening now. And I just feel like I need to say I'm sorry if anyone is being affected by this discussion. I know it's hard, but I do hope that some sort of awareness comes out of this. But mostly for me right now, I think that there's certain things that don't need to be shared on the internet about your personal life. I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why she's doing it now. It's becoming very clear to me why she's doing it. And that's selfish. Think about that.
Richard, do you think you would have gone like in depth with her had she not shared all this? Because we're not sharing anything that she hasn't already shared herself.
Absolutely not, because I wouldn't have known. And that's the funny thing, is she acts like I picked her out of a hat and just dug into her personal life and pulled out all the skeletons, but she did that herself. And you said you were going to make the stream from yesterday public. I would urge everyone to watch that and watch the arrogance of them both. And have that in mind. Just watch their behavior, how they behave, and then think about what they're saying and what he's done. Because if that doesn't creep you out, then nothing probably will.
Can you post that link in here, Richard?
Oh, I'm talking about Carla's stream from yesterday.
From yesterday.
Oh!
I just made it public, so anybody that wants to go back and watch it.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I do think it's important that.
Well, I think it's important that people go back to your playlist, Richard, and watch some of your videos, because I watched a few of them yesterday, and they were eye openers for me. I'm sorry, like I didn't do my due diligence, and I don't know. I just felt like I felt sorry for her. Okay.
Well, that's the point, and that you don't have to. I'm not saying that. I understand from your perspective. That's the diabolical nature of what's going on, is that you and people like you, they hear things, and it's just human nature that people avoid certain things. And when you have someone like her that is constantly making excuses, and unless you're just locked into everything that's going on and you're very aware of her situation, who she's with, what she's saying, her history, his past, it's human nature not to pay attention to every little thing. So when you say things over and over and over and over again, repetition, that makes an impression. So like the whole peeing in the park, she's referenced that many times. People make the connection, even though that was not something that she would just logical that people are going to assume that whatever he did was either that or something analogous, which is harmless. And that's just how people work. I mean, she knows enough about psychology that that's how she's functioning. That's how she's been able to function. That's why no one questions it. It's not so much that no one questions it, it's that she's made it to where questioning what he's done is really not worth it because he's a victim too.
So Red Nolan says the only diabolical thing there is a woman of obvious mental challenges being ridden hard into cancel culture trash bin.
What mental challenges? What are you talking about?
I think she said she has a mental deficit, which I don't think she does.
She absolutely does not. I mean, this.
I'm not even entertaining that.
Okay, this is what she said on one of her streams. She said that she has this brain deficit that this psychiatrist or something, which is not a neuro doctor by any means. She said that she was told several years ago that she had a brain deficit, which could mean a vast amount of things, and it boils down to she was going to prove that she had a brain deficit. She had the paperwork. She was certain that so she gets on the phone and nothing. And she was very upset. Like, she was certain that the psychiatrist or whoever, psychologist, told her that she had a brain deficit and nothing.
Huh.
ADD.
So, but she continues to use that.
Well, she did for several years. She was angry. She was angry that she had been blaming a brain deficit that she does not have, and she was angry at the person that she saw because she was certain that she had one, and when it came down to it, to prove that there was something going wrong with her cognitively, and there wasn't, she was angry at the doctor for not, writing that in for her, for rubber stamping that she had a brain deficit. So essentially, she lost 2 years of excuses, I guess. I mean, that's what she was mad about.
2 years of not getting cash donations, or
no, 2 years of her saying that whatever happened was due to a brain deficit. So there goes 2 full years of her saying that she had this brain deficit that she never had.
It's just another way of not taking accountability for your actions. And some people will believe everything they hear, evidently. I mean, stop doing that. Like, try and get some facts.
It's not so much that people believe I mean, yes, that's true. And I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true in any case. However, with her, it's repetition. So when people are saying things over and over and over again, yes, it does. And it's just, that's how the brain works. Like, your brain makes connections and it distorts reality.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know Carla feels duped, but she's not the first and certainly won't be the last. And
it's kind of like a leader that just pounds in the same information into your head over and over and over.
Right.
Hi,
Hi,
Pink.
Hey guys, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon here, but good morning. Hi.
Hey, is that JoJo?
Yes.
It is me.
Hi, JoJo. How are you? Hi, chat.
I'm okay. How are you, darling? How are you?
I'm good. Oh my God, I love that. How are you, darling? I'm fine, darling. How are you? So a lot of people feel SAs should all be killed, right? They're not curable. Okay. So, and I talked about, I left a comment. No one's answering except Blue. But I would like more input. So, I know we talk a lot about adult offenders, and I think that's a little bit different than child offenders. And I'm not minimizing what anyone's gone through because I've gone through it. Okay. But that's to say, if we feel adults as SAs, as SOs, should be just taken off the earth. Do we do the same, because it's not curable, people say. Do we do the same, hold on, do we do the same for children when they turn 18? If they did something at 12, at 10, at 13, even play doctor and touch someone, do we kill them when they become an adult?
No, that's a different thing. Pink, you know about the James Bulger case in 1992 in the UK and England, yeah? 2 10-year-old boys tortured him to death and they raped him. And they're both out of prison, but the other one went back because he's a paedophile. Sorry to say that name, Carla, on the channel. But he's back in prison. So where do we draw the line? You know?
Do we judge everybody? That's what I'm saying. Do we judge every single child?
Well,
every single child.
Based on the statistics. And the statistics.
Well, I will judge peas. I'll just say peas for now.
Okay, all right. So if the statistics show it, that's what you believe, that they can never be helped, or the majority can't be helped. No, so we kill them all, whether they're a child or an adult.
1 out of 5 child predators is going to repeat.
So that one child, that those 4 children that don't repeat, do we just label them the rest of their lives and kill them?
Pink, I understand what you're saying.
On the side of caution when it comes to a child being a victim, I absolutely am going to err on the side of a future victim.
Yeah, it's still instilled in you. If you've got those urges, whether it's 10 years later, 5 years later, you're still, sorry, in my opinion, they're still going to go out and do it.
So when a child turns 18, we should just rid them.
Well, like I said, the James Bulger case, the guy, Robert Thompson, John Venables, he turned out to be a P.
Yeah, I don't know why you're saying we should kill them. No one ever said that or insinuated that.
We didn't say kill them.
Someone did. Someone did. Profiling, manipulation did.
Put them away somewhere.
I don't feel that way, Pink.
I don't either. I don't think they should be killed, no.
I don't think there's any cure though, Pink. I don't know what you think, but there's no cure for it. Sorry. It's like being a homosexual or straight. It's who you are.
Pink, I'm just going to use my...
I'm not saying with children because they're young. The children have a better chance of being rehabilitated because they're young.
They're not fully developed yet.
I don't agree with that.
Right.
Sorry. I don't agree with that. Sorry.
No.
I don't agree with it, Pink.
And also, and I'm playing the devil's advocate. I'm not taking a side, but okay, so oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Juvenile detention is a lot different than the adult prison system as far as sentencing. What we see on TV is like, oh, you're in juvenile, we're going to try you as an adult, but you're going to stay in juvenile till you're 18 and then can be transferred into the adult system. A lot of facilities in juvenile, and there's even some prisons that do this. The sentence is 1 day to life, depending on the treatment they receive, their behaviors or whatever. It's not, you can't assume, well, we don't even have these records. We don't even have these records to say that because of an act of touching, you're getting 6 years as a juvenile and that's it. It doesn't work that way in the juvenile system. It's not how it works.
Right. Okay.
What we see are the rare cases, the horrific murdering their parents, and but cases like what we've been discussing, I think there's just a lot more to it that we're not aware of. And I'm not saying I'm defending this. Huh?
That's my gut instinct.
Right, but you're thinking the worst when kids are in juvenile. We have one in my city that are so traumatized themselves that they have to be locked up for treatment. And when the system feels they're better mentally, then they will be released, whether it takes 1 year, 5 years, 6 years, or how many years.
What issue are you talking about with the juvenile?
It has to be pretty
juvenile means under 18.
No, I know what juvenile means. I mean, what issue are you talking about? Them being SOs, or they've got issues anyway? What issue are you talking about with the juveniles?
Both. Sometimes they'll receive treatment for an essay, right?
Right.
But also, if they're evaluated, if they find they have other issues, whether that be trauma, their own trauma, or whatever.
Yeah, well, they
will stay in that facility until the state or whoever or the psychiatrist feels that it's in the best interest of that child or the society to release that child, whether it takes 1 year, 5 years, 10 years.
I'm going to use common sense.
Look up John Venables. Look up John Venables.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. It takes a lot for a criminal justice system to put a youth in a detention center until the age of 18, 6 years of his life. If there's trauma involved, I mean, being incarcerated is beneficial to him? I do not think so. I'm using my common sense, Pink, and this does not make sense to me.
It doesn't take a lot, but in my state, it takes very little to get a child into a juvenile detention center.
Oh, really?
I have one right in my city.
Them from their parents, putting them into a system with offenders of all types is, I mean that. I'm gonna.
If a child keeps misbehaving, doesn't even have to be convicted of a horrific crime, but if there is a pattern, the state will stipulate that child into juvenile detention. It doesn't mean they've done a horrific crime, and they also look at it that this is a disturbed child that needs help. There are no mental institutions. I mean, consider juvenile detention as a mental institution for kids and for punishment, but it's also they receive help.
Interject?
They're not throwaways.
Carla, how are you? You okay, Carla?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Right, all I'm going to say is look up John Venables and Robert Thompson, what they did to 2-year-old James Bolger, and he turned out to be a P. Now he's back in prison for CP. I'm not going to say the words because I respect Carla. Now, he wasn't, they tried to rehabilitate him, but it didn't work. Okay? Now, we don't know about Robert Thompson because he's been released. He's got a name change. So we don't know what's going on with him. So I don't agree that all children could be rehabilitated. They were 10 years old. They raped and tortured him and put him on a train track, 1992. Look it up. Shaz knows all about it. She's from Scotland. That's all I'm saying.
And there are horrific crimes that kids do. Horrific. But do we base all these horrific crimes on every single person? Do we throw the baby out with the bathwater? I'm talking about children. Do we throw the baby out with the bathwater?
Yeah, sometimes we have to. Yeah. Sorry, Pink. I very disagree with you.
It's all right. It's just an opinion. It's all right. I'm not going to flip out.
No, that's all right, though, because it's a good debate. It's a good debate.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you, somebody asked me in Carla's chat yesterday, haven't you ever played doctor? And I thought about
Oh,
that
what?
because I remember growing up, that was a pretty popular game, right? But I
Mhm.
was the type that I wanted to take your blood pressure and listen to your heartbeat. Or even, I never even
Oh,
liked
wow.
doing spin the bottle. But think about how many people that just aren't being utterly, openly honest about what they did as kids. And the only reason why we
No.
don't know is because they don't tell.
Well, I'm pretty honest on the internet. I mean, people know that I was a heroin addict 12 years ago. I've talked openly about that. I've still got alcohol problems. Carla knows that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
My
I
opinion
understand what
is
you're saying.
that she shared all this and she excused it.
Right,
Um,
right.
I I have a problem with that. I
I
do.
told her that. I said the transparency, honesty is not always the best policy. Not on
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media. I mean, if you're going to be honest, then you have to open yourself up for criticism. You just have to. If you're
Of
going to put
course.
subjects out like that, you just have to be open. And what I'm trying to figure out what are we supposed to take away from all of this? And I'm not saying that in a negative connotation. I'm confused
We're brainwashed.
because we all
Yeah.
know what's going on, right? And we're all
Mm-hmm.
bringing up examples of other offenders, and I get it. But what,
Hi,
as we as a
Brian.
community, what are we supposed to take away from this moving forward
I actually
at some
agree with
point?
Brian. Brian, child sex offenders should not be allowed social media. I do believe
Yeah,
that.
exactly, Brian. Brian, but we can't stop them. Like, how do we stop them, Brian?
Well, we
How do we
can't.
stop them?
Unfortunately, you can't. Unfortunately, you can't, because it's based on their rights, right? Our human rights, of freedom, and I
This is
agree.
what I want to take away from this. If you know something, say something. And if you don't want people to have an opinion about your lifestyle or your history, then don't put it out there.
Right. Can I just say, in the UK, we have reoffenders all the time with SO. I'm not going to say the name because I respect Carla. You know what SO means, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
Um, and they get a pass, and we're supposed to have. Well, it's a team called MAPPA. I don't know what it stands for, but it's MAPPA, and they're supposed to be keeping an eye on them, but they're failing at their job. So these SOs can still go on the internet and reoffend, and it pisses me off. It
Hmm.
pisses me off.
Jojo is not going on the internet part of their probation upon release. Do you have that law
Yes,
in England?
yeah, we have the law. It's called MAPPA, MAPPA. Look it up. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
the
see,
acronym.
the United Kingdom
Mm.
is much more advanced than the United States with their technology as
Well, but
far
the
as
MAPPA aren't doing their job
crimes and
right, and I'll
internet
say it
crimes and
now.
stuff. They're
Yeah,
much
but
more
they're getting
advanced.
away with it. They reoffend. They can carry phones, tablets, devices, laptops. Mappa are not doing their job right over here. And that's why we've got 300 hunter clubs that go around. They never provoke. They wait and they wait and they wait until somebody comes up and they will try and speak to a decoy child. It's not, um, they wait. They don't provoke. They just sit and wait. And once one
How
comes
does
up, they
MAPPA
will go and find them.
how does MAPPA control people from staying off the internet?
Well,
Do they
that's
have a
that's their job.
system?
That's what they're supposed to do. That mapper. I see. I wish I knew the acronym for it.
Is it like a
It's like
GPS, like an ankle monitor where it
yeah.
tracks
They
if you go
they
on
they
the
work with the
internet?
police. They're supposed to be checking up on offenders' records of the internet, but they are failing at the moment, and that's why we are
Uh,
getting reoffenders. Yeah. Sorry, it just riles me up.
why do you think they're failing at their job? Do you think it's an employment issue, or with COVID, or
No, I
they're
mean,
just overworked back?
you can go on any hunter group in the UK and you'll see what happens. We always get them arrested. We try convictions. Not all of them get away with it. Most do. They get like what's it called? You get like a prison sentence, but it's like on probation. So you know you don't have to serve that time, but you've got to sign in every time. But Mappa are supposed to be taking an eye on it, and they're kind of failing. So I don't know why, Pete. I really don't know why.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna look that up. Thanks, Jojo.
Yeah, please
Mappa.
do. No, that's all
Yeah,
right. MAPPA. Okay, Mappa.
yeah.
Blank Space says, in my opinion, there's a 12-year-old autistic child probably acting out what he was taught. While I have sympathy for his story, I have to acknowledge that he became someone who victimizes. But I have a hard time calling him autistic. I really do.
No, you know, I wish Gemma
I,
was in there because she'd
I have a
explain it.
hard time.
I mean, that's kind of a different issue. I mean, with the John Venables and Robert Thompson
I
story
don't
with
think
James Baldwin,
autism should be used as an
they,
excuse for a
they're
crime.
clearly not
Well,
autistic
it
anyway.
is being
So,
used by them.
No, no.
no, that
Like
shouldn't be
that,
an
like
issue.
my girlfriend's baby who drowned. Law enforcement actually used
Sorry.
the 16-year-old who's autistic, used his autism in a way where he wasn't held accountable for drowning my
Wow.
girlfriend's 3-year-old
Wow.
daughter on Easter Sunday 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, do you know Gemma? She's autistic and she's a very clever lady, and she'd never use that. If she committed a crime, she'd never use her autism. I know that for a fact.
Gary, what's your name? She's saying someone's saying they're blocked in here, and I can't.
No, Gary D, we can see you. Gary D, your richest friend. Yeah, yeah.
She said her main account is blocked. I have to go find it. Continue, guys.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So what do we take from this?
Well, all pedos
is Richard like? I don't know if Rich is on the hunt for SOs on the internet, or, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything. I'm trying to figure out what we can all take from this and move forward.
In what way, though, Pink? You don't mind me asking.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Like, what's the moral of the story? What do we take? What do we learn from this?
Well, I think well,
I mean, we all should learn a lesson from everything, you know. Do we bring more awareness to people as far as not focusing on one person, but focusing on education, right? What's the sense of keep calling someone out over and over and over? We all know.
Well, I can answer that.
You can't be the gatekeeper of YouTube. So would we not want to educate?
Or the moral authority or the arbiter.
But you said that yesterday. You wanted to let everybody know who this guy is.
Well, it's not that simple. And I would understand if, like I said, if I snatched his name out of a hat from total, obscurity and kept going on and on and on about this person. This person and his wife are normalizing this behavior. It's
okay,
not me.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to figure out what this is.
One at a time.
If it was just me going on and on and on about this person and they weren't online or doing anything, I would understand, because that would just be upset. These people are arrogantly trying to normalize this type of behavior, and I don't think people care for it too much. I mean, that's all.
Yep. I didn't, Richard, to be honest, your lives that you did, I really haven't watched them. I'm just trying to understand. That's all. I'm a little bit behind, and because it's brought up a lot again, and I'm like, didn't we already know this? So I'm just trying to figure out where people are coming from. That's all. And I agree. Like I told
Sorry, Pink. Sorry. Carla, Kipper said that you didn't say hello to her. So can you say hello? Oh no, you're probably doing something and you're busy.
I'm trying to
I do that in
unblock
my
somebody.
chats.
I'm trying to unblock somebody in here.
Yeah, exactly. Carla can't do everything at once. It's like me. I'm new to chats. I don't always read people's comments, and I feel bad. And I apologise
I'm
later.
sorry
So
if I'm
Kipper,
missing the
don't
comment.
leave,
She's so
Kipper.
cute.
I will find it.
Don't leave. Carla didn't mean it. She's busy at the moment. You know what I
What
mean?
did I do? What did I do?
Well,
What
you
am I
didn't say hello to Kipper, and she said she's leaving. I said, well, Carla's probably busy. She don't mean
Well, I
it.
don't even see the chat because I'm trying to. Someone came in
Exactly.
here and said
Yeah,
they were blocked,
exactly.
and I
I
thought
know
I.
you're busy. You always say hello. You always say hello to people.
I try. Yeah, I try.
Who's
Hello,
upset?
Hello,
this
Who's
is
upset?
Samara.
I'm sorry.
Samara?
Kipper.
Whoever thinks I'm
Really?
ignoring them.
I'm not upset.
Oh, who's
I'm not
upset in the chat?
Oh, you're joking around now. Oh,
Hi,
great, Kipper. Now
Samara.
you made
Jojo.
me look like a right idiot.
Hi.
Oh, bloody
Yeah, it was
hell.
somebody in the chat, but they're not
Who's
I
upset.
was
upset?
They're
just
kidding.
protecting my mate Carla. That's my sister. You know what I mean?
There's someone that got upset that Carla didn't acknowledge that they were there.
Oh, I've had that.
Let's not get derailed.
I'm really, really sorry.
Samara! Samara!
Hey, Jojo.
Hey, Samara, what's your opinion about everything?
Well, I just wanted to add that the reason why it was brought back up again is because of Dee Dee, or I know she doesn't like to be referred as Dee Dee, but I'll say Delusion Dispeller because I'm not comfortable saying her real name.
Hi, Kipper.
That's why. That's why it was brought up for a second time.
Oh, okay.
It
If I'm
wasn't
not
that Richard was on the.
So what's your opinion, Samara, on all this?
It's an uncomfortable topic, but I'm glad that everybody knows. I think that not everybody that heard it the first time was around. So now that they're hearing it a second time again, it wasn't to bring a lynch mob, as somebody said in the comment section, after Delusion Dispeller and her husband. It was nothing of the sort. So not everybody who was here not everybody was here the first time.
Yeah, I
There's
wasn't
even
here, so it's quite
yeah.
shocking. Yeah.
I don't know, like some of us, and I noticed yesterday too, a lot of us have been through, have been victimized in that way in our younger years. My sister and I, for one, when we were in our young teens,
Yeah.
13 and
I
14.
feel sorry about that.
So we feel a certain way about that, like a real certain way.
Like, I mean, I was felt up. I said it in chat earlier on. When I had a broken leg, I got run over when I was 10. And the male teacher, he's dead now, but he felt my bum up and everything when we were on our own. He felt me up. And I feel disgusted about it, Carla. So I understand where you're coming from.
See, you remember that too. Like it just doesn't
I
go
do
away.
remember it. I was 10 years old.
No, you
He felt my
always
bum up.
remember something like that.
And he
Always.
tried to put his finger up my bum as well, but it was before we went to assembly, and I had crutches, I had a broken leg, big plaster on it, and he tried to put his finger up my bum. So
Oh my God.
I'm just putting that out there.
Who?
Mr. White, he was called. He's dead now. He used to invite us back to his house where he lived with his mum and take photos of pictures of flowers. But you wouldn't get away with that now, would you? Now I think about it, I think,
Yeah.
how weird was that? I'm putting it out there now. No one knows this. My mum,
Right,
I
because
told her.
people are speaking out. People are speaking out, and there's more awareness. So hopefully for our generations growing up now, that
Yeah,
it won't occur as much, or if it does keep occurring, that, God forbid, children don't feel afraid to say something. I didn't say anything. I
I
had
didn't
fear.
either.
I had
I
fear.
feel bad now that I just said it on
And plus, I knew
Carla's,
if I
but
said something, nobody would believe me. So,
That's what happened to my
but
sister.
yeah,
now I
we
think
feel like that as
Nobody
children,
believed
don't
us
we? We feel like that. We feel like that. Like,
because I
I
was a
hope
friend
people
of my
believe
sister
me
that
now.
said
I mean, he's dead and gone now. Mr. White, he used to wear, he looked like a penguin. He used to wear like a pinstripe suit. Look, everything sticks out. His smell, everything. He put his finger up my bum while I had a broken leg before I went to
God.
assembly. Yeah, I'm sorry to bring this. Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
It's
That's
just
okay.
triggered me. Yeah, it's just
I mean,
triggered
yeah.
me a bit.
I mean, don't you think that downplaying it though is dangerous?
Yeah, I think people
I
need to
think there's
speak
a
out more.
fine line. I think there's a fine line though between adults and kids. That's all I'm gonna say. And this has
Well,
nothing to
Pink,
do with Matthew or
yeah,
Dee.
but
I think in general, you know, do we waste our youth like that for the
I
ones
understand what you're
that
saying. I
I'm
do
not
get what
talking
you're
about
saying, but
Matthew, I'm talking about kids in general because God forbid, look at my daughter went through it with a schoolmate that assaulted her. And as long as I knew he was getting treatment, but how many kids out there in school do this and just get away with it? That could be your kid.
Is Matthew
It could
getting
be my kid who's the offender. Is that what we want for our children?
Did Matthew get treatment? I didn't hear him say that. I didn't hear him say anything about treatment or anything.
Juvenile detention offers treatment. And the way juvenile,
yeah,
at least where I live, juvenile treatment facilities, because you can't house a child in an adult mental institution. So they have juvenile detention
But
centers.
he's supposed to go on a sexual or a sex registry for another 10 years after getting out. So they must have thought it was a serious enough offense that he needs to be kept an eye on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's my
But yet
point.
in another state, he's not on it. See, we don't have the facts. That's the thing. We don't have the facts. And I'm not trying to minimize it. But are we assuming that he was given 6 years and they threw away the key? And a lot of these detention facilities don't, it's 1 day to life up till they're 18, depending on their progress, depending on when they feel that child can be aged out and has to go to adult prison, or can they be released?
Pink, do you believe child SOs can be rehabilitated? Can I ask you that?
I'm sorry? Children?
Do you believe children SOs can be rehabilitated?
I think if it's touching, again, I'm not minimizing anyone like myself who went through that. I think if it's touching, there's a better chance because their brains are not fully developed yet. I think if it's a full essay, then there's something very wrong. There's something very wrong. If it's a full essay.
You know what I find really wrong? Is that they haven't consummated their marriage. That's what I find really wrong. And I don't understand why in so many years that they haven't, or he hasn't been able.
Who said that?
She did.
Thanos, no, you're very wrong there. Not everybody can be rehabilitated, especially when it comes to SOs. Okay? I just thoroughly disagree with that.
Not everyone can be rehabilitated, and there are some who can. So that's what I mean. We throw the baby out with the bathwater for every child.
Disagree with that. No,
for every child. I'm talking on a different level of sex offense, of an offense.
Yeah, Amanda, I totally agree with what you're saying. There's no rehabilitation for peas. None. Don't care how old you are. Thank you for
Wait,
answering my question, I think. I
can we
appreciate
Well,
talk
that.
then
about?
I hope kids growing up that their parents really have a good talk with their kids when they get hormonal and get to the stage where they want to feel up their classmate, okay? Because now we're going to teach our children that you can't do that. You can't go to second base or second base. First base is kissing, yeah. Second base, because that is a crime. So teach your kids well, and I mean it. Teach them well, because that game when we were growing up, what base did you get to? When we were under 18, is a crime. Is a crime.
Right. Thanos, right. No, not everyone can be rehabilitated. I thoroughly disagree with you on that
The
one. You
ages, he
can't
told me
rehabilitate.
yesterday, were
Right, say,
3
right,
and
okay,
6.
Thanos. Right, sorry
3
about
years
this,
old
guys. I'm
and
interjecting.
3 years old
Can
and
I
That's
speak a minute?
okay.
Let me speak. Homosexuality was illegal here in England from it ended in 1966. So you think you want to rehabilitate a homosexuality? It's in you. If you're a P, it's in you. I'm very sorry about that, my dear. I don't agree with you. You can't be rehabilitated from being a P. Okay?
Also, I just wanted to put this out there. Is it yesterday was the first time I heard about it. There's a hand signal that kids can make to alert an adult that they're in trouble. And maybe I can find a link so that people
maybe
can
I
see
can
what
show
it
you.
is and maybe tell their kids about it.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to try and find it.
Well, if it's in you, it's in you. It's like being like a heterosexual. It's like being a homosexual. If you're a P, nah, that's what you are. You're into little people. And I don't agree with you, Thanos. I'm very sorry about that. But I'm very outspoken when I want to be. So, no, don't
Jojo, let
agree
me
with you.
ask you something. Jojo, if a
Yeah.
15-year-old and a 14-year-old are a girl and a boy, right?
Well, they're minors, aren't they?
And
They're both minors.
yes, I'm talking about minors. And the
Right?
15-year-old boy decides to touch up the 14-year-old girl, and she gets
Well, that's
uncomfortable.
another issue. That is like putting
That's what I'm
yeah,
talking about. That's what I'm referring to.
that's like rape,
Do
isn't
we
it?
do
You
we
know?
take that 15-year-old boy and throw him away because he did that?
No, that's a totally different issue. I don't agree with that.
How is it
Yeah,
different?
I agree.
How is it
Listen, Pete.
different?
No, listen, you're not getting what I'm saying. Be quiet a minute. That is a teenage love lust thing. That's totally different to being a P. Okay? Of course it can be rehabilitated. I understand that because they're like a year in age. My first boyfriend was 15 and I was 14. Okay? We didn't have we didn't do it. We just kissed a lot. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about P, the P word.
But
Okay?
you consented. You consented. What if the girl doesn't consent, but he does it anyway?
Yeah, but
He
you're talking about
touches
rape
her.
now. I don't
You
consent
know
to
what?
rape. No, it's no.
Okay. Do
No,
we
it's
throw him in
no.
jail?
That's a different issue. That's a different issue, Pink. You know
When a
it.
girl says no, when a girl says no,
When a girl says no, it's no. That's a different issue we're talking about now. Of course I don't agree with rape. Of course I don't. That's a completely different issue. And he can be manned up and learn about what he's done and learn about, but the P word, the P people, they cannot, in my opinion, cannot be rehabilitated because it's in there.
what's the difference between a pedophile at 15 and a 15-year-old who won't listen to a girl saying no and he continues?
But that's right. We're talking about something different now. They're both minors. This is completely different, Pink. Come on, you're clever. Come on. We're talking about rape now, which I obviously don't agree with. No is no. even if you're 12 and 11. If you say, get off me, it's wrong.
So
Okay?
molestation, just touching is okay if you're under 18. Just touching. I'm just asking.
Yeah, Pink, but this is two different issues. We're talking about
But I'm just asking your opinion. If someone
and
touches and
talking
doesn't
about
rape, is that okay?
underage sex. What's okay? What?
Just
Say it
touching.
again.
Is
If
that
the
okay?
girl doesn't want it, then no, it's not right. There's got to be consent. They're underage anyway. I mean,
Right,
I was
but
15 when
if
I had
he
my first
is he,
kid.
A 3-year-old and a 6-year-old are not able to consent to something like that. They
Yeah.
don't understand it.
There you go. There you go.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to yell, but I mean,
I'm
even
sorry, but when I was being
Hello,
molested,
Shallow,
I
you're
said
the only
no.
one.
I said no,
yeah,
and I was 7,
13,
almost
and I
7. I said no, and it still happened. So I don't believe that a 6-year-old can't say no.
Oh, come on.
But what?
Oh, come on, Pink.
They are
What
groomed.
the fuck?
Oh my gosh. I'm
Can't
gonna
even remember
hop
being
off,
6.
Carla.
You know
I'm
what I
getting
mean?
triggered. Thank you for having me up.
It's all or nothing on YouTube. That's all it is. It's all or nothing. One
Sorry,
person's
Mr.
experience has to be everybody else's experience.
Pink, you're very
And
wrong
it's
there when you
offensive
said a
to me to
6-year-old
say
can have
that at my age I wasn't able
Oh,
to say
man, I
no.
can't even get a word
That's
in.
offensive to me. Okay, because I did say no. That's offensive to me to say that no 6-year-old can speak their mind. When I did.
Yeah, but they don't have consent. It's about the
It's all or
law as
nothing. Every
well,
single
Pink.
6-year-old in the world, every single 6-year-old can't defend
Come on, Pink.
themselves.
You know,
Come on, you're not stupid.
Amanda's right. This is a very specific situation, and it's very not
It's
all
delicate.
6-year-olds like and there is a grooming process where these pedophiles. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to say
Grooming.
that.
I'm
Grooming.
aware of
Yeah.
that. I'm aware of that.
I mean, they say stuff like, "If you tell, I'll get into trouble." I mean, some of these kids.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware.
I said some of them don't have a voice. I did, Kipper. I'm the one who said it.
For those of us who've gone through it, we know exactly how it works. We know exactly how it works.
Pink, don't get upset. It's okay, my love.
I'm not. I'm
You're
just,
all right.
it's just YouTube. I'm not upset with any person. It's just YouTube. It's that
No.
digital, no gray area. It's all or nothing. It's one way or the other. There's never like an in between.
Now,
And if I say something like, I'm sorry, but I think 6-year-olds can say something, but yes, of course they're groomed. Of course they're groomed. There's more to it, but it's always
yeah,
taken either from me or someone else, all
okay.
or nothing. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating.
When
And
you're
then you
6,
feel like,
I can't
you're
hardly
being
remember being
minimized.
6 at all. Like, I mean, there isn't
You
any
remember when
consent.
something like that happens. You remember at that age.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry you
I
had
think
to go
fine.
through that.
Traumatic, you remember. I do. I think it's
like a picture show. It's like a picture show.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't remember what I did last week, but I can remember what I did in what happened in the 1970s.
Yeah, it comes back in pictures. Yeah, I'll get that.
Yeah.
Well, Pink, I think you're a wonderful lady. And you're going to do your bloody parodies after Christmas, aren't you, my girl?
Yes, darling. And
Oh, yeah.
today is Taco Tuesday. Carla, I'm surprised you didn't put Taco Tuesday somewhere in your title.
Yeah,
Well, Tessa
Friggin' Taco Tuesday. What?
the discussion was going to be so serious. I didn't want to make light of today.
Yeah.
No.
Because
I'll
it's
tell
I'm
you
just
what.
trying to add a little lightness to
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, Pink, you're amazing.
These are
Carla,
why
you
these
got a very, very
conversations.
This
extreme.
whole subject, I'm starting yesterday, has really made me sick to my stomach, the whole thing. And I can't minimize it. I really can't. And I think that's what Dee has tried to do, has tried to minimize it and make it make it seem like it's no big deal. And I think it is a big deal. Look, I liked her. I donated to her channel because I felt sorry for her.
I don't know
But
who
Oh my
Dee
God,
is.
sorry for that
Right.
avatar.
what's that?
My avatar. I was going to joke around one night and I put up that avatar like I'm teaching drama classes. I didn't think that
All right.
was drama.
Looks all right to me.
But there's
Looks all right to
many, do
me.
you understand that there's many, many more people that believe they cannot be rehabilitated? There's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like Carla, I've told you so many times. Please cannot be rehabilitated. Sorry, that's my opinion, and
That's
I'll
my
always stick to
opinion.
it.
And
I'll always
I
stick to
just feel that children have a better chance. That's all. That's all.
it.
I'm not
Well,
justifying any actions
go
of
look at
a crime. I'm just saying,
go
in
look
my
at Strong
opinion,
Venables
children
and
have a better chance than adults based on their physiology. That's
I
all I'm
understand what you're
saying
saying.
about.
But go and look at some case studies. John Venables, he is a P, and he had to go back to prison. So just look him up. JONVENABLES.
I'm not saying
Look
all
everything.
children. I'm just saying I think there are a chance that
Yeah, I
more
understand.
children can be helped than adults. That's not to say all children can be helped.
right.
I understand what you're saying, Pink. I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah.
Carla, I gotta go. I've got a phone
Yeah,
call coming in. I
I'm
love
gonna
you, babe.
again, this is like really emotional
Love you.
for me. Like starting yesterday, it's been a really emotional couple of days for me. So I think I'm gonna just end it now. We all have our own opinions. Some of us agree, some of us disagree. I wish some people wouldn't share so much of their life because it look, when you share a lot of your life, and I know I've shared sometimes too much of my life, it can be used against you. So
Well, I'm sorry Miss Behaven felt like she had to step down after I made that comment, but
well, you know
it
what
is a very sensitive topic. And when you are a victim, okay, and I'm going by my experience, I didn't mean to generalize all, but I very well know the routine. I don't
what
have to
you
be told
don't
that
know,
there's grooming involved. I am aware of that.
what
Very
you
much
don't
aware of
know,
it.
what you don't know though, Pink, is that she was just in court last Friday, this last Friday, watching her former neighbor get sentenced to 90 years in prison for his, I'm not sure if it was his second or
Okay, and
third.
my offender is in prison for life.
Right.
So I understand it all. I get it.
But it's fresh for her. It's really fresh for her. So I understand her feelings.
My
And
offender is never getting out because he reoffends.
right.
He reoffends. He belongs locked up.
Right. Anyways, I'm gonna end this because
All
it's
right.
emotional
Sorry.
to everybody. Oh no, you don't have
Yeah.
to be sorry. But you guys all have a good day. It's been really emotional
Thank
couple
you.
of days for me. So I'm sorry, guys, if anybody was triggered by this. It's emotional for a lot of us in here. And we have very, very, very strong, let's say very strong opinions about this. So I'm going to get off here now. Bye.